All right. Welcome back to another, or I shouldn't say welcome back, but just welcome to another episode of the Firearms Nation podcast. This is where we talk to different people, learning about their shooting backgrounds, their industry affiliations, their actual shooting hobbies. But more importantly, we learn how to be better shooters and pro Second Amendment. So today, if you've ever wanted to learn to shoot fast, this is the guy to talk to. We're going to delve into how he has bionic speed. He's a former Leo, and he is a Grandmaster shooter. If you see him out on the range, he kind of looks like a cross between someone who's wearing Doc Brown sunglasses and someone from Super Troopers. So it's very cool. But you can hear him in the background. Isaac, thank you. This is Isaac Lockwood. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Super Troopers, huh? No, I've heard that one actually.
I'm
It's the
sure. Well, I mean,
mustache.
now as everyone can see, you're kind of sporting a more full beard. But yes, it's very interesting when you have like your own like cartoon character that's on like a logo, but it's actually your face with the sunglasses. And so before we get
Yeah.
into that, how did that come about? Because that's very interesting. You see shooters, and especially in competition shooter, they wear different types of sport jerseys and whatnot, but you've got your own personal brand. So how did that come about?
Uh, I guess so. I don't know. I guess I fell in love with shooting. I guess I'll start there. Like we all do. We shoot, we love it. It's our right as an American, and just something about it. So when I started shooting, which wasn't too long ago, about 7 years ago, I thought it was a little longer than that, but it turns out it was about seven, maybe into 8 years now. But anyways, I started this journey of I just went down the rabbit hole, let's just say. I found USPSA about a year. I knew of it, but then started doing it about a year or so after going to the range and trying to practice and taking it a little further than just one mag at a time off the tailgate and then reloading and doing it again. So once I got into it, got in fortunate in my local club, got into a group of guys, and then kind of I came from some other sports where I had sponsors, so I knew how to kind of present myself in a way that might be wanted to be used, I guess. And shooting's expensive. I certainly couldn't at the time. For sure, I could not afford it, but I had a lot of ammo stockpiled that I had previously stockpiled for just doomsday, whatever. But I wanted to be able to keep doing it, so I kind of tried to show some skills that I thought I had, and present it in a way that might be sought after to be sponsored, maybe, just to kind of make it easier to keep shooting. And that's kind of really how it started. Is like, okay, can I just get some discounts or something, right? So I can keep doing this thing I love to do and afford to be able to do it as much as I'd like to do it. So that's kind of how I started, I guess, videoing it and then putting it out to public via YouTube or social media. But more than anything, I was putting it out there because how excited I was this new thing that I was doing, and just how cool it was, and learning from some quality shooters that I was never good at pistol. I'm a rifle guy, believe it or not. I love rifles, and I really didn't care for pistol shooting that much, but I wanted to get into 3-gun, couldn't do that because I live in California. There's not a lot of that. So USPSA, our local club, ran monthly matches, got into that. Some guys took me under their wing, taught me the fundamental basics, which actually made pistol shooting, it's still difficult, but much easier. It's really cool just when you hit what you're pointing at with a pistol, because that's easier said than done, especially if you have zero training. It's kind of like the hardest thing in the world. If you hit a can once out of 10 times, you think you're awesome. but they kind of showed me the way. And so I kind of went down that path of presenting it out of excitement, and then, okay, maybe I can capture some attention to get some deals and ammo, or whatever it might be, just to continue to do it. And yeah, just one thing led to another, I guess. And I dove deep down that rabbit hole and just kept pushing, pushing, pushing. And yeah, so here I am now.
So that was definitely it's a really good marketing move. I mean, you definitely have to have some balls to present yourself like that. I mean, were you? I mean, because now you have a logo that says Lockwood. You know,
Yeah.
it's like an L with I mean some sort of design. Someone came up with a pretty good icon, but then you know the glasses. I mean, those are your signature sunglasses. Um, it like I said, it takes balls to pull that off on the range. I mean, I know another shooter, John McClain. He's
Yeah.
also out there. He's got those pants. He's got that style. Your style. You got those shades, and you're running around in like a cut off tank top. So
So
it
that,
it
so the shades was more like I was always looking for comfortable glasses. So wearing them all day, I've always had this thing. I never cared for glasses, and especially shooting glasses that were like two lenses. I always liked the single lens kind of sports glasses because they wrap around, they're lightweight, and they don't squeeze my head all day. And so basically, I just came across those. I just gravitated towards those and found some. What I wear is it's a brand called Optic Nerve that's out there, and basically they're very comfortable. And it's one single lens, and I wanted a mirrored finish. I just kind of got that one. I think it was on sale. It's kind of how that worked out. So it wasn't really to make a statement at all. It just it was on sale or something. So I'll try these out before I buy more of them or whatever. And it just, that's how that kind of developed. The tank top stuff that just happens because it's I live in Redding, California, and for those that don't know, it's one of the hottest places on the planet. We had a couple summers back. I think we had 75 or 76 consecutive days where it was over 110 every day. And it cools down to cool 90 degrees at night. So it's just kind of like you, everything it's just hot. So go to the range and it's over 110. I just try to wear as little as possible almost. And yeah, so my videos, yeah, that was just it started out kind of I knew from other sports to it's important to video yourself to see and compare yourself to the pros, to the top guys. What are they doing that I'm not doing, or what am I doing that they're not doing? So it's a very good side by side. You know, you watch them, then you watch your stuff and see what it is. And so basically, it was kind of like started the YouTube channel. It's more or less a journal. The social media stuff was kind of like, oh, this is cool, kind of get it out there to like friends and people just to see cool stuff because I thought it was cool. That was it. So we all do, I think, on social media. And then the YouTube journey was kind of just more of a documentation. You know, I didn't think it would mean anything. You know, I didn't think it would develop. It's not like it's crazy, like a lot of followers, or really anything like that, or subscribers. But it's definitely grown over the years, and it's turned into more than what it was. So that's kind of it's just kind of happened very natural, I guess, or very organically. You know, and then one thing led to another, and then people start recognizing from that. So it's kind of becomes you kind of adopt it, I guess.
so you were saying in Reading. I just want to touch on this. Is that a
Hmm.
dry heat or is it? Because
Yeah.
I lived in LA and it was kind of moderate temperature wise, except for when we had the Santa Anas. But Reading is much further north, and you would think
Hmm.
that because it's further north that it would be cooler. But I guess it's closer towards more of a desert type
It's
environment.
actually very, so it's a very great place. It sits in a valley. It sits in like a bowl. So
Okay,
we're just about two hours south of the Oregon border. We have north of us is Mount Shasta. To the east of us is Mount Lassen. To the west is Mount Bawley. and then the south kind of drains down into Sacramento. Yeah, there's some foothills and stuff. So, but it's kind of basically its own little bowl.
Okay.
So it can snow and it have a huge kind of blizzard or snowstorm, and in the same year be reach 115 to 120 in the summer. So it's just kind of for whatever reason in that bowl, the heat just gets in and it doesn't. You just can't escape it even at night. We don't get like a delta breeze like Sacramento has or further south. So I don't know why exactly it gets hot, but every year it's summers are you have to adjust every year to the heat, especially as you get older. As a kid, I ran around it, no problem. I was born and raised there. Moved away for close to a decade. Moved to Sac and then to Nevada, and then came back with the family. So
Is that when you got into law enforcement?
yes, after some like merchandising jobs right after I graduated high school. The job I took was merchandising. Moved promotions took me to Nevada. Got married to my high school sweetheart. Moved her out to Nevada. Once we started having kids, we moved back for a different job. The job that I had, I couldn't transfer, so tried to take a job that fell through ultimately, and we were struggling for a lot of years. And then just living with where our families live in Reading, and that's kind of what it was all about. Get support with both our families as we're having kids, and want them to be raised with their family, so they knew them. And then the law enforcement thing was just kind of something that it's stereotypical really, but it was a calling. I just had a couple buddies that were in law enforcement that always said you should be a cop, you should be a cop. I always people always thought I was a cop before I was a cop, or at least military. And yeah, so it was kind of one of those things where I never wanted to do it, but I felt obligated, I guess, to do it, um, because I know we need good people in those positions, and now more than ever. So just recently getting out of law enforcement it is definitely a change for me as well because I adopted it. It just felt like this is what I'm going to do. But then as new opportunities came up, um, it felt right. It felt like the right time, even though it wasn't long. It was 5 years. It felt like the right time. Like this is the next step to do. Feels like what I was meant to do is shoot guns, I guess. But I really enjoy it. I love the people, and yeah, there's nothing else I see myself doing at this point for sure.
Were you always around guns or shooting, or did that happen once you started getting into law enforcement and started training with that stuff?
So I kind of well, that's kind of a it's kind of a bummer story how I got into it in reality. So we have my wife and I have 5 children. So we have 3 girls and then 2 boys. At the time, our first boy, so our fourth child, but first boy, um, he at 9 months was diagnosed with cancer, leukemia, and so that was completely life changing. And I'm a different person from that, and the other medical stuff we've gone through with our kids. Um, but basically, after we spent the first 6 months, 8 months, better part of a year in the hospital, just kind of nursing him back, going through all the chemo stuff. Once we got home, based, your life as you know it, if anybody close to you has had cancer or dealt with that, anyways, it's kind of it's not over, but there's nothing else going on. You're just trying to help, especially your own child, survive. So I was at home, and we were both just taking care of our son. When I wasn't going to work, I was at home. So I had guns, lived in Nevada, so I always loved guns. Grew up around my dad had some guns, not a ton, but I always loved them. Just watching Clint Eastwood, John Wayne, the classic cowboy movies, and I don't know, I always loved it. So I guess that's probably where it started. Um, but then I just would get the guns out and I'd clean them, watch YouTube, look up gun stuff, just trying to get my mind off things. And then every once in a while, I would sneak out to the range and just shoot, be out there for an hour and then come back. And it just kind of get my mind. It was kind of my escape from the daunting life that I had during that time. And then, yeah, so found USPSA via YouTube, knew that there was a local club, um, found out that they also did USPSA. Wasn't really interested, quite honestly, because I was a rifle guy. I had pistols, but I was a rifle guy. So I figured, what the heck, I'll give it a try. I don't have three gun to go to. And then that's how it started.
What was it
He's
like?
good, by the way. I just want to put it out. It's a kind of a bummer story, but my son is good. He's 7 years old now, cancer free, considered completely cancer free now. So yeah, we've been very fortunate in our medical issues. So I like to share it because it's a good reminder for me to, keeps me humble on how quickly things can change. But at the same time, I'm not trying to bum anybody out or no sob story. I'm not a victim. He's certainly not a victim. He survived it, and we're doing good. So we've been very fortunate and on the good side of things.
Well, family is everything and health is everything. You can have all the money in the world,
Mm,
but if you're sick or injured, it doesn't mean anything. Uh,
that's true.
I was going to ask you, so
Yeah.
you got into USPSA watching YouTube. Was there any particular thing on YouTube that you liked?
So there was a show. It's actually a show called Hot Shots out there. I
Sure.
don't know. Have you seen
Oh,
it?
I watched it all. Yeah.
Yeah. Stumbled across that, and I loved watching Clint Upchurch and Jerry Mitchell, like in the three gun stuff. Like I said, but of course I watched Max Michelle. It started with Casey Eusebio,
Casey.
and then
Yep.
it kind of transitioned into Max Michelle's journey to Worlds during the seasons. I think there was 3 seasons, if I
I
remember
think
right.
I think it was right. Yeah.
Right. So as I continued to rewatch it as I got into USPSA, so I could learn about it and kind of not be learn about it by watching it, but also because I didn't know what else to watch, or I didn't know the players, I didn't know all the names. I knew basically of KC, Max, and JJ because he was in there too. And then I kind of learned a little bit more as I got it to shoot with some of the local USPSA shooters that kind of told me of people to watch. And so I just expanded from there, watching Nils, watching Christian wasn't even, he was shooting maybe, yeah, I think he was shooting by then, but he was still just probably in high school, maybe
He's
at
very
that
young.
time, because he's
Yes.
still very young. I mean, it's
Yes.
crazy that he's very mature for his age though too. Having a couple conversations with him, but yeah, it was just like, those were the guys to watch, and so that's what I did. I'd watch them, see what they're doing. I'm a very visual person, so I don't learn the best from being told what to do. But if you show me what to do, I can emulate it. I
Hmm.
can kind of copy it, and then as I copy it, I turn it into my own what I can do with it. So I can't, I'm not JJ. I'm just not. And but I can emulate some of his moves and then change them to what my body can do with those moves. So it looks like something else, but so it becomes your own. And that's what my YouTube thing, back to that, it just kind of turned into, this is what I'm doing. This is why I learned it from this person. And while training that, I kind of discovered this. And so this is working for me. So I'm doing it. And through the years, you'll see whether it's grip, whether it's movement, it's always changing, you know. So I don't ever feel, and I've learned that from golf. I used to play golf, that kind of watching Tiger because I was
Hmm.
really pursuing golf, but Tiger was always changing his swing. He was the best in the world, and they would always talk, why would he change his swing? He's the best in the world. And I think what it came down to, and I've always agreed with this, if you're not, it's not that you have to change, it's that you need to be always in search of 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 bettering yourself. Just doing, can you do it? Doesn't matter if you're the best at it. Can you do it a little bit better? And what would that look like? So being willing to kind of experiment and try new things. Maybe you discover something new. Maybe it doesn't work. Regardless, I think it's a very important thing to continue or to keep your brain in that learning mode where you're interested, where you're pushing, and you don't become complacent. And I've always kind of had that mentality in whatever I've done, especially sports wise and training. I just love to train, and that's kind of where I've excelled in a couple sports, where it's got me pretty far. Just having the ability to stay in that learning mode. So I never feel like I know what I'm doing. I always feel like I can do a little bit more, if that makes sense.
So you threw me for a loop with the golf thing because I was thinking when you were saying you did some other stuff, I was thinking
Mhm.
first right off the bat was like CrossFit. I mean, like you were a CrossFit competitor.
No,
Well, I mean, you
no, actually,
posted you posted your workout and you do the Murph challenge. I saw that. So this is just from your social media feed.
yeah,
So that's why I thought CrossFit, golf, never in a million years would I've guessed. You really don't have
I
like the
know.
golfer body.
No,
Um,
no. It's so my body has changed a lot. I was naturally, fortunately gifted. My whole family, I should say, we've kind of had an athletic ability. So whether it's uh, baseball, basketball, I never played football because the school I went to didn't have it, but I enjoy football. I could always throw a football fine. Tennis, but I just kind of went through the sports and I'm the youngest of four. And so I was always playing against older kids. So it always pushed me. I had to, I couldn't beat them, but I would do my best and I would always practice. So it kind of just started at a very young age that I could watch them and I'd go to their practices and I'd practice with them because I was the youngest kid. So they were forced to let me tag along. And anyways, so I was always trying different sports and yeah, golf was kind of one of those things from one of my prior careers that one of my bosses got me into because that's where business is done is on the golf course in the corporate world. And I had no interest in it at all, but he told me I had to learn to play and took me out. And I thought it was stupid, except for the problem was I thought it would be easy because that ball doesn't go anywhere. It just sits on the ground. All you got to do, it's not like baseball. You're not hitting a moving object. Not like tennis. That ball's moving and you have to make, those little adjustments as you're swinging to meet it. This ball just sits there. And sure enough, that's by far the hardest thing that I've tried to master sports wise is golf.
hmm.
Hardest thing. I did it. I was able to get to scratch. I don't know if I still have a course record, but I lived in Nevada. I lived on a golf course and I had that course record when I left there, but that was 12 years ago. So, and I don't play golf anymore. So, but I was able to, learn so much from golf. I took things from other sports, applied it to that, and then that's where I learned actually how to self-analyze what I'm doing against the best, like Tiger. So that's why I use that Tiger analogy because he was fascinating. I think the world was fascinated by him, even if you're not a golfer. It was just right during the time where I started golfing, so it kind of fell in line there. And who do you watch? We all watch the best, right? And then oh, they're doing it. This is what they're using. This is what they're doing. I guess that's what you do to be, So I always noticed that he was always trying to make changes, even though he was already the best at whatever that thing that he was changing, and it just kind of stuck with me like, well, he kind of got flack for it through the years, or I just remember that from different announcers or whatever. And but I always felt like that's the right thing to do because it's not that you're trying to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I think when it comes to, we have to believe that there's more that we can do. Because if we think we've reached the top, I think we become uninterested and then we allow ourselves to slack off. And I mean, I know that I can say that for me. So knowing if I'm trying to get better at something, if I think that, okay, I reached that goal and now I just check the box, I'm just done. Well, great. Now what? So, but if you keep that open mind to where, okay, I reached this goal, but there's another one, there's another level. So I always believe there's another level I can reach, no matter how far I take it. And that kind of translated eventually into shooting as I got into that. Kept me
So,
hungry.
so do you think that your acceleration in the shooting sports came from just having a background in other sports? Are you a self-discovery type learner, or did you seek out expert instruction and then incorporate what they taught you?
No, I have to, like I said, I'm visual, so I can see what people are doing, sports related with their bodies, whatever, and I can copy it pretty well, or at least a version of it to where I can make it work, I guess, if that makes sense. And then I develop it from there. So I've never taken an official class, I guess. I've had one session of instructions with JJ, and that was shortly after Howitzer picked me up because he flew me down. He was getting a one-on-one lesson with JJ, and he's just like, "Hey, come out here, get down here and meet us, and get to train with JJ." And I'm like, "Sweet." And I learned so much in that one day. The amount of knowledge he has over the years that he's put into this sport, into shooting, and into this craft is incredible. And even though he does get a lot of credit, but it's still not enough, the amount of knowledge. And I'm sure, you know, all the other guys that have been doing it for as long as it have all this knowledge, but he also has a good way of explaining it very well. And he just basically took me and had me do it my way, and then he would change one little thing at a time. And then, yeah, it was crazy. He was able to shave seconds off of where I thought I was decent, and I had already finished. I think at that time I had just finished nationals. I ended up what was I 13th that year in nationals. My kind of my first nationals. I ended up like 13th or something. Not last year, but the year prior. And I didn't think there was a lot more meat on the bone for me to achieve. There's a big space between first and 13th, but it was kind of like, man, where can I trim the fat type of thing. Well, he kind of exposed a lot of fat that I could trim, so it was just a huge motivator for me to get back to work and just reinstate kind of what I knew is, you're not, there's always more, you know even if there isn't, if your mindset is there's always more, there's another level, you're going to push yourself further than you would thinking that you've already made it, right? And I mean, that's my take on it. So yeah, JJ is the only instruction I've taken. The rest has just been YouTube, but in the last couple years, I'm not really watching anybody. I'm basically trying to discover things for myself. I might see their videos, but I'm not really dissecting it like I used to. I'm more or less trying to, I guess, perfect what my body can do, because I'm the only one with my body, right? And that's how I kind of teach is like, I'll show you, I have no problem showing my way, but by all means, I'm not saying it's the best way, but it's the best way for me right now. And this is why I'm doing it. And then next year, I might be doing something a little different, but I'll tell you, hey, this is the best for me right now. So I've learned, or through training and pushing things. So that's kind of what I just tell people is like, try it, try everything. Whoever your inspiration is, or whatever you see that's working for somebody, try it, but adapt it to your body type and try to make it work for you, because it could be even better than what they're doing for them, or it could just not work for you based on how your mechanics are with the way your hands are made, or the length of your arms, whatever it is. There's just so many little differences. So you can use that to your advantage. But I think sometimes people make it a disadvantage trying to emulate exactly what somebody else is doing. So, anyways, my thoughts.
When you first got into it, was the goal to be a national champion? Was the goal to be a GM? To be a pro shooter? What was your goal?
At first, my first USPSA match, I DQ'd on the first stage because I was broke the 180 trying to game it. Believe it or not, I was trying to. I've always kind of had that high confidence of um, good, bad, or indifferent. It's like in my head, I never let myself believe I can't win. I always believe I can win. And that first match, I was like, how cool would it be to come out and win? And so I looked at the stage, and I, by all means, did not have the skills to win. And that is a kind of an ignorant thing to think, but I think most men in our heads were all Rambo, right? We can, right? So I went out and I DQ'd on the first stage trying to reach around a barrel and get a target that saved me a position that wouldn't have to go to if I just got it from there. Anyways, I came back, and then I realized very quickly how, I mean, you got kids that were half my age, you got 50, 60-year-old ladies just destroyed me. I didn't DQ my second match, and they just destroyed me. And it's like, well, hold on. Maybe I'm not the natural shooter I thought I was, right? So my goal originally was just to try to get to the mid pack, and get better. And I didn't have plans. It was more of a hobby, right? That at that time it was my escape from, going through things at home with my son, that sort of thing. And then being around, I learned the shooting community, and not just in my hometown, everywhere I've gone, it's the best of all the sports I've done. It seems like overwhelmingly the best genuine people that they will literally take the shirt off their back to help you. They'll give you a gun belt. They'll take their gun belt off, give it to you, give you their gun, give you ammo. Hey, you want to learn? Here, let's go. That just doesn't exist in a lot of other sports. And so that kind of, makes you want to come back, makes you want to be a part of that community. And I think people should feel fortunate if you're in this community to be a part of it, and hang on to that, because we got a lot of good people. So originally, no dreams of national. And I mean, I didn't even want to change. I wanted to wear my drop leg holster, and I had a 5.11 soft pouch that held 5 mags with a flap over the top. I was just like, yeah, this is tactical. I don't know what you guys are doing, but this is where it's at, right? That's what I thought. But I did want to get better and not get beat by kids and old ladies, and that's where it started. And then once I worked my way up that, I kind of, you're always looking at your local heat, the best guys at a local level, and then okay, can I reach those guys? And so I would push and try to reach those guys. And then once you do that, it's like, okay, you broaden it out. Can I go to other clubs? Can I win at other clubs? Can I win, the bigger matches, level twos? Can I go to area? And it just kind of grew from there. And the further away we got from, we had some other medical issues. I won't get into all of them, but we've been on the fortunate side of a lot of them, a lot of terrible diagnoses. But as as we as I got better at shooting, I also got better at appreciating like family time and just enjoying the time. Whatever you're like, this experience right here, we're all people and we don't know how long we're here. So it changed me. And I kind of, during the whole time I was learning how to shoot, it just kind of all came together as one, I guess. So it just really truly does feel like meant to be this journey. And yeah, I just fell in love with it. And as things got better at home, I was able to spend more time training at home too, like dry fire and stuff, and take the kids to the range. Got my daughter involved for a good a year or two, I should say. Um, and then she outgrew it. She became a teenager, and then she doesn't care for it. She's into volleyball. But anyways, I I didn't drop it. I'm sticking with it. So yeah, I just kind of just I just kept looking for that next level, and I was kind of waiting to be told this, something to tell me to stop. Like, okay, this is where, yeah, maybe you're just your local club champ, and that's where it ends. And I'd be fine with that. I'd still continue to shoot and enjoy it and have fun, but it really feels, I mean, like I don't feel like an end, especially like I said, a big kind of another aha moment was that one session a year ago with JJ, um, and it really opened my eyes to how much you can accomplish in this, or how much more I had to go, um, because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. So I recommend taking classes, trainings and classes from different individuals, or whatever, because you can learn something. So I always plan to, I just never had time for it so far. So and now I find myself in a I've not, by all means, I'm not too good or anything to take a class from any of these guys, from JJ, Max, Mason, uh, anybody. Doesn't matter. I don't care if even if I were to outrank them, it doesn't matter. I could still learn something. That doesn't mean anything to me. It's just, so I would recommend that, and I plan to in the future. But I'm in a kind of a weird position, almost as like now that's my competitor. So it's almost like, do you want to tell me your secrets, kind of a thing, And yeah, so, but I mean, they're all good guys. I've shot with them now a couple times, and I think, I it'd be interesting. I think they would share stuff with me, but JJ certainly has. But he always tells me, he's just like, I don't know if I want to tell you what you're doing wrong here, because he needs that 2 tenths, or he thinks he does. It's
Right.
remained it's remained for me to beat him at a national level for sure. So, or a lot of those guys, but I definitely feel like, uh, I'm 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 gonna get there. Like for me, I have no doubts. I'm gonna get there. It's just a matter of when, I guess.
Well, you're in a hotel room because you're getting ready for Optics Nationals, which is coming up this weekend.
That's right.
Um, what do you do to prepare for nationals?
Well, there's a lot. Um, for me personally, I mean, besides, I it kind of came up really quick, and then I've had a lot of other changes in the process. So, but that's life, Life's going to get in the way of your perfect plan to accomplish something. So, you just have to be able to roll with it. So, what I do is I try to, and some of this is definitely from JJ's recommendation, is kind of, if nationals is the goal for the best performance, so that's like where you want to peak. You start. He has this process that he like basically gave to me, and essentially it's just you break stuff down into its simplest form, right? Like whatever it is, or everything, every part of your game, and you kind of work on that and build it, and you explore. So that's where you're trying new things. You might come up with a new technique that you want to adopt, but you have to have time to make it a habit before. So it's something you don't have to think about by the time you get to, say, your goal, nationals. So it all starts there. You're working on these things as well as trying not to let everything else slide. So it's a juggling act. Um, Guys are everybody's getting so good now, and I like to think, or I hope maybe I've helped influence or push some of the fitness stuff, because that's been a journey for me. I wasn't always fit, um, but that's been part of my journey, is to integrate fitness into my shooting, and that's what I started to do in my dry fire, and it just kind of one feeds the other. One motivates, I want to be more fit so I can shoot better, and it just kind of it works. It works really well for me, and um, yeah, it's just been a journey of continually pushing my fitness level, my movement level, and integrating that with my shooting level and skills. So kind of as you get closer, you start like at this point, the last couple weeks, I have not worked on anything specifically. Where I am, and in my head, that's good enough. I mean, it's not like, don't get me wrong, I'm not settling, but I'm good enough in my head. I'm good enough to win nationals with where I'm at now, and that's what I'm shooting these like Golden Bullet and local matches that I've had leading up to this. In my head, I'm shooting them like I'm at nationals at this point. So you kind of progress to where you're prepared before you go to nationals. So you don't get to nationals and it's like, now I'm here, deer caught in the headlights. Now it's time to converge all this into action and execute it. And that's kind of what I did last year and fell on my face. The year before, I did a little bit better. Before I knew the process, I just kind of naturally did it. And then last year, I earned my way into the super squad and I finished like 26. Not terrible, but my shooting ability was far beyond that. So it's very frustrating. But I just I didn't go about it the right way, and then ultimately a lot of it was nerve shooting with the guys I watched and learned from. The shooting idols. I was in the super squad with everybody I learned from and was watching on YouTube, right? So that was a big, kind of a shock to the system that I was a little overwhelmed, I guess, and that was kind of I wasn't expecting that, I guess, if that makes sense. So learned from that and been building on that since, and had tried to put myself another opportunity to shoot with those guys. And the most recent one was Dragons Cup, and felt very comfortable. I didn't feel that shock of like, trying to impress these guys you look up to. So that felt really good. I had some other physical stuff. I got tendonitis really bad, overtraining. No excuse. I earned what I got, and I was actually happy with where I was. But physically, I just couldn't hold the gun anymore at that match. It just was what it was. So it's good now. I feel great, and I'm excited for this nationals and the other stuff that's going on with Shooting USA, the Bill Drill Challenge. So lots of opportunities, and just really fortunate to be a part of them, in all reality.
Well, you gave me a perfect segue because I wanted to talk about the Bill Drill Challenge and what that is. And, you might feel, I don't know, not intimidated by some of these guys, but, these guys you watched and you think they've got all the skill. I mean, you shoot pretty damn fast. You're one of the fastest shooters I've seen. Obviously online, you've seen Jerry Mikulek, shoot that speed shooting challenge, and where I think that was in Hot Shots, where he was trying to beat that record with the 6 reload 6 with a wheel gun,
Yeah.
Which is scary. But
Yeah.
I know Yong Lee. I've known him for a long time, and he shoots really fast. I mean, he's got super fast splits, and he doesn't try and push the splits, but he has that ability. You've got that ability too. You did, I think you did your Bill Drill in 1.23 seconds. Was that your previous record?
Yes, that's what I did at nationals last year. This year's going to be a little different, but yes, last year it's going to run the same this year. I'm just not going to be a part of the initial challenge. So that's, for those that aren't familiar,
hope. What you're trying to do is you're giving people hope that they're actually going to get somewhere, and then you're going to come in at the end and take the rug from underneath them.
Well, no. So whoever wins is going to win that money and win the prize. So whoever wins overall, and they have it even broken down to winners for each class, as well as giveaways each day for all the entries for that day. So it's really behooves people that are at nationals, shoot the Bill Drill, because not only can you just win a prize by drawing your name, you can win your class. You can win. You get a shirt just for entry. Howitzer is giving away a free shirt just for entering into the Bill Drill Challenge. So you're going to get something. And then ultimately, the winner of that challenge is not going to be me. That's something separate. So the winner is the winner of this year's challenge, and they get the prize money. So with what we have with Shooting USA and Howitzer, Hitting and GX Products is putting on the Bill Drill Challenge, and then Shooting USA, Howitzer, and Colt are kind of running this secondary Bill Drill side match that is going to take the winner of the Bill Drill Challenge by Henning and GX Products and going to pair them against me in a separate challenge that we're trying to turn into basically a show on its own. And this may, we'll see. I'll let John kind of further on that, how he wants to in the future. But we're going to see where it takes us. And ultimately, it's going to be them shooting against me. We each have 6 tries only on the Bill Drill. So it's a little bit more strategic. It's not just lay down $100, $200 and try kind of as many times as you want and just burn it down until you get a good one, which is what I did last year. I knew I was going to win it. I just didn't know how much money it was going to take me, but it didn't matter because I was going to win it all back. So that's what I did. I laid down money and I just burned it down until I got one to stick. I had a couple I led each day, but then Billy Barton kept one-upping me the next day. So he would have the lead time. I guess the first day that I saw it on, I think it was Saturday. I didn't shoot it Friday, but Saturday when I saw it, he had the best time. So I put down like $100 and I was able to get it that day. The next morning, he had already beaten it when I came back because I shot in the afternoon on Sunday. So I'd already been to the bank the night before because I didn't know if somebody was going to beat it. But I pulled $300 out and I said, no, I'm coming home with this title one way or another. Sure enough, he had a better time, so put down my 300. I didn't use them all, but after a few runs, I got to a 1.23, and I'm like, that's good enough. I didn't think anybody was going to beat that, and I was, there wasn't a lot of time left anyways. But yeah, it worked out, so that's how I got that. With this challenge, it's going to run the same for everybody involved to win it the same way I did last year. The difference is the winner will be paired off against me in front of the live audience that's there, whoever's watching, which I think a lot of people are going to want to see it. And as well as it's going to be videoed by Shooting USA. Howitzer's got a guy there that's going to video it as well. And we're going to publicize it because it seems like people really enjoyed watching this. And we each get 6 attempts after a flip of a coin to decide who goes first. And then we'll see how it pans out as far as, put one good run down and then pass to the other guy, run all 6 runs and just get your best time while you're feeling it, that sort of thing. So we're not going to see the same. I don't believe we're going to see as fast as times as what the winner is going to have. Like, I don't think, you never know. So we might see a 1, 2, 3. We might see something better, but I'm guessing it's probably after a solid time because it has to be all alphas and you only get 6. So it's going to be crucial, I think, to lay a good all alpha time down and then let your, contender try to beat that. So it's going to be a little different, and it's very interesting to me because I haven't done anything like that. It'll be my first time doing this format, just like I'm sure it will be whoever I'm contending with. So, but what's cool is the winner keeps the money from the challenge, which won't be me. But then when they contend against me, they can double it, or just they're still a winner, but they could double it. Colt is matching, and Howitzer is matching the overall winnings. So basically, it gives them the opportunity to double their money and then beat the former reigning champion of the Bill Drill, or I win it and try to continue that legacy, I guess, and see where this takes us.
I just want to clarify for some people who might not know what the Bill Drill is. It's from 7 yards on a USPSA target. On the buzzer, you're going to fire 6 shots as fast as you can and get all alphas. And most people, when they're doing practice or whatever, they're looking to do a sub 2 second Bill Drill. That's if you're doing sub 2, you feel pretty good about yourself. You're doing it at 1, 2, 3, and you won. You were shooting. I saw 5 shots in 0.97 on one of your Instagram posts. If you did a sub 1 second bill drill, that's kind of be like a Guinness type record. I don't know many people who have done that before.
I don't know of anybody. So that is my goal. My goal is to get 6 under a second. And I've been close. And it's, I'm sure people think that I'm just out there just hammering bill drills all day long. The reality is I train USPSA first, and then with whatever I have left in my mags, I usually get like maximum of like 15 runs. Like that would be like very maximum. Usually it's like 5 or 6 runs that I actually dedicate to a bill drill training. And I just really try to make it count. So it's not like I'm out there. Last year I tried to practice a little bit more coming into nationals, knowing that there was a challenge, and this year certainly I've been trying to make it part of like more regimen, to be ready for this. But yes, the only difference is it's not, this one is, or at least for when they contend against me, it's going to be at 5 yards, not 7. We're bringing the target closer, so you still have to. It's very fast, so accuracy is still a must for all alphas. But it gives us the opportunity to try to kind of ramp those speeds up, kind of ride that line between speed and accuracy. So yeah, I've been still training at 7 and 10 yards, and then closest I'll go is 6 yards. So hopefully, with all that extra nerves and audience and whatever's going to go on, that once 1 yard closer, hopefully it's just that much easier. So I always try to train harder, but yeah, it should be interesting if nothing else. So
let me ask you, and I don't know if you want to share too much, but at this point, I don't think it's going to make a difference. But how are you getting to run the gun that fast?
yeah, so the biggest advantage I say I have over anybody I've seen is the scoop draw. And that is, for those that don't know, instead of coming over the top of the gun, pushing down on it slightly, or even just coming over and establishing a grip, I'm using, as my hands are relaxed at my sides, I use my fingers to scoop. That's why it's called the scoop. It's literally just scooping and picking up the gun, the bottom of the grip, and pulling it into the webbing of my hand. So, and I have videos on YouTube about this, but it's all one motion. So the fingers come up, pull it into the hand, and I establish the grip. At this point, it's almost instantly, once my fingers hit it, and it just pulls it into my hand, and once I clear the holster with the muzzle, then I'm coming forward and bringing it up to my eye to get my sights. So the grip takes, I mean, it's like I said, it's almost instant. Once my fingers touch the gun, the grip is almost instant, and the motion never stops. So that is probably the biggest advantage. I don't think a lot of guys scoop. I don't know if anybody's doing it faster than me, at least draw to first shot. So that being my advantage. Splits wise, I would put myself up there in the splits. I don't know that I'm the fastest splitter. I definitely can. It just kind of depends on the day. Sometimes you're just more tense. If you have tense muscles, then it tends to be slower times, slower splits, trigger freeze, and all those things that are difficult to overcome. But if I can be relaxed and just let it happen, that's when I get down in the 10 splits and can kind of keep those, start with them and keep them in those, which is a must. You have to have like consistent low splits, like 13 split or less, to have a very, very fast, like a 1-2 or below bill drill.
Are you thinking of pulling the trigger faster when you're doing it, or is it just you're not trying to think at all and just letting your relaxation state control your muscles?
Ideally, I try not to think. I try to just relax and let it happen. But when you, just like anything, when you want something or you try to go fast, just like in USPSA, when I try to go fast, it's ultimately slower and the mechanics kind of break down. But when you relax and just work on your execution, then your the success percentages go up. So yes, my goal is to be relaxed, let get my shoulders relaxed, kind of deny my major muscle groups what they want to do, which is do all the work. They want to take over and they want to pull that trigger fast, and it's so much slower. But if you relax and just your reflexes happen and your small muscles take over, that's really where it's at. That's where the speed comes from, is from a more relaxed state, less thinking, and just really only focused on execution and seeing what you see. Um, but as soon as you start thinking, at least for me, as soon as I start thinking speed, trying to go fast, it kind of, that is not the way that is most successful for me. I can still go fairly fast that way, just done it enough times, I guess. But that's not the most conducive for me. So my fastest times, like without trying, when I'm relaxed out there and I just see what happens, it seems like my recoil management's better, even though my hands are more relaxed. I'm not trying to control the gun, and my splits are faster, my draws faster, and I've gotten. I had not gotten under a second on a build drill. I've been very close several times. It's just a matter of time. So one of these days, I'll get enough ammo to where I can just dedicate to it, and then we'll see what happens, because that's my ultimate goal.
So obviously, when you're doing the build drill, you're just blazing through that trigger. But in general, when you're shooting, are you a prepper or are you a slapper when it comes to trigger control?
Oh, I slap everything to a fault, but I basically have to tell myself to stop when I come across like a difficult target, something I have to really like steal, or something with just like a headshot. I've trained myself to, when I get to it and I recognize that, I literally tell myself stop, and I have to take my mind off of the sight picture. At this point, this is just I'm an open book. Um, I have to bring my focus from what I'm seeing to my trigger finger to to stop it from slapping and start to prep, and then take it back out to the focus, not my vision. My focus goes back out to what I'm seeing and let the shot break. For me to, because I'm a natural, I just slap everything out to, well, as far as the target is. So that's something that is still in development for me. Like, it's still something I'm working on to develop kind of a process that works for me, that I recognize those targets. It's just one of those things. I think everybody, whatever shooter it is, they have a process for a difficult target, and for steel, and it just depends on how much it's ingrained. So how much it's second nature for them. Or for me, I'm still at the level where I have to actually change my focus on it. And I know some of the top guys don't have to do that. It's just it happens kind of without them having to completely change their focus. So, and it feels like forever, but when you look at the timer, I mean, I've looked at my times on the same stages that those guys on some of these things. When I do it correctly, it doesn't mean anything on the timer. It just feels that way in my head. So I just needed to, as I'm going forward after this nationals, it's something I'm going to continue to work on and make part of the process till I, get to the point where it's not a thought anymore. Like some other things have become, like the scoop draw. I don't think about it. I don't have to think about anything. It just happens. So that's where ideally you get every skill level. But I think that's what's the beauty of it is, I don't, once you get there, I'm still like with the scoop, I don't think about it, but when I work on it, I'm trying to get more. So, just keep pushing
One last thing I want to bring up is, so I'm wearing my JJ Howitzer shirt. You're wearing
I
a
saw that.
Howitzer shirt. Uh,
Yep.
so Howitzer is a clothing company that they're very pro law enforcement, pro military. They have a pro staff. I would say, you're a member of that pro staff, along with JJ and Max and some other great shooters and instructors. How did all
Okay.
that come about? Your association with them?
Well, actually, uh, so Eric Foss is the owner of Howitzer. Um, he found me on Instagram, just kind of stumbled across some of my videos, and he reached out to me, just messaged me, told me, hey, I've got this company, this clothing company. I'd like to send you some things, see if you're interested, and talking about it. Kind of, he wanted to make sure, just as well as I do, as anybody I get involved with, you kind of want to make sure, see who you're getting involved with, right? Not that there inevitably in this world, there's people that you don't want to do business with. So it's good to, meet and talk and that sort of thing. So that's what we did. We talked, but then he talked to JJ, was already on the team, and he talked to JJ and asked him about me, and we had already met at that point, JJ and I, and uh, kind of hit it off. Oddly enough, I mean, everybody gets along with JJ, gets along with everybody. So, but it was just kind of one of those things where just kind of a very over a weekend, a quick like bromance, I guess, where we just kind of got along really and started messaging each other. And yeah, Eric asked JJ about, hey, do you know this guy? Is he a good dude? Is he gonna represent well? What do you know about him? And yeah, so JJ vouched for me, and so that's how it started. So he sent me some clothes, told me what he's about, and then I talked to JJ too, and he's just like, yeah, this is the guy. So he had told me a little bit about it, but I kind of like, oh, okay, you know, it's clothes. I'm into shooting, right? I didn't really put it together until after that, and then yeah, so it's been amazing. I can tell you, Howitzer Clothing, and Eric's vision for it is to it's not a nonprofit, but it's to basically allow him a way to give free training to law enforcement veterans or people, like there's a lot of veterans out there with PTSD. And then we all know, especially me coming from law enforcement is suffering big time from lack of training, at least most agencies. So they don't have the funding, they don't have the time, they're underpaid, and they're overworked, and the last thing they want to do, most of them, is go to the range on their own time and their own dime to to train themselves for work. They kind of just want to escape it, and that seems like part of work because it's the range, right? So it's kind of a way to take the load off of the departments, the agencies, to pay for it and say, hey, it's free. Just get your guys there and it's free. So that gets them better training and instead of their everyday instructors, which I'm sure are great, they have some great instructors. I've had some good ones, but I've had some archaic teachings in law enforcement. Um, he's able, with the pro staff team, with guys like JJ and Max, is send the best shooters to teach law enforcement how to, basically a way to train to where they don't have to think about their gun manipulation. So if they get involved in a shooting, the last thing they're going to be having to think about, if they're training, they still have to train on their own time. One, as we all know, you still have to do that, but they'll give them the information and that they can apply to hopefully win the fight, come home. And I think it's obviously important to me. So once I kind of learned all that, and now that I've become friends with Eric, I mean, I'm down here right now. I just got back from dinner with him. So um, that's really where his heart is, and that's where he's pushing this company. And now he's into USPSA. It started with just shooting, and then he's gotten into USPSA, so he's shooting that. And he's kind of recognized the same thing I did, like I mentioned earlier, with what the high quality of people involved in this sport, and he really wants to be a part of that. So he's pushing in the future. I don't know what I'm allowed to say or what he wants me to say, but he's pushing further than just clothes. So he's going to get into kind of the gear stuff and provide. He has the ability, based on some of his resources, to create some new things. And not that it's not being created by other companies, but I think he has some of the resources, like I said, to innovate and make some things better for everybody, not just USPSA shooters, but also for law enforcement, for military, that sort of thing. And we'll see where that goes too. So, and the ultimate goal above all everything is I think we're all in agreement with our Second Amendment, and he's huge on that too. So this is just another company that has the ability to kind of reach beyond, I guess, a normal scope of some companies, I think. So it really helps to have that backing and kind of get that word out to people so that they understand it's not just another clothing company trying to make a dime. Yes, are they trying to make money? Of course. I mean, you can't just give away money, right? But he's actually giving back. I mean, he's over $2 million in giving back free training to law enforcement and military in just a couple of years. So that's a big chunk of money. So you can kind of equate that to what, I don't care what kind of sales he's doing. That's a lot. That's a high percentage to give back. So he means it, is what that tells me anyways. So yeah, there could be more to be said, but I'm long-winded if you haven't noticed.
Not at all. But it sounds like someone who I'll have to bring on the show at some point and talk to, because
if
it is an
if you can get
interesting.
him,
Yeah.
he's he doesn't like to he doesn't like to get on in the spotlight. And that's what's cool about him. He's such a humble guy. He doesn't like the spotlight. He just wants to help, and that's what it comes down to. It's just like, he's just like, okay, he saw something, and he's like, I think I can help. He started Howitzer, and then he saw a gap in law enforcement, and then the need for military veterans who love to shoot, and he saw, like, I think I can help. So that's what he started the Blue Line Project, and then now he's getting involved in USPSA. He's shooting it too, and he's seeing some things that, I mean, not to get any politics or anything with USPSA, but he just sees some gaps. I think we all do, and that's in every sport. And he just sees from his prior experience, he thinks he can help. And I think it's a good thing. Not everybody should help, because a lot of people it can turn sour or greedy or whatever. But it's not that way with him or this company. So I think it's going to be beneficial to really all of us, as the years go on, and I think it'll be seen.
Very cool. And thank you for taking time out of your day to come on Firearms Nation podcast. We wish you a lot of luck, Isaac, with Carry Optics Nationals, and we'll link your Instagram and your YouTube in the show notes so people can see what you're posting. If you guys are going to Carry Optics Nationals, sign up for the Build Real Challenge. That'll be awesome. If you're watching this, or if you're watching the live show, be sure to hit that notification bell, because just like this kind of came together and went live. If you want to be notified of that, if you're not clicking that bell, you're never going to be notified. You have to catch the replay later on. But anyways, everyone, thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care, Isaac.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.